Hey everybody, welcome. No musical intro today, but
Are we live? We're live.
we're just live, yeah.
We're going.
That's the whole idea behind Facebook Live and YouTube Live is that you are actually live.
We are live. All right, here we go.
And just get that thing shared there real quick. And so, hey, glad you could be with us tonight. We're on Tuesday nights now. Last week was our first Tuesday night.
And you weren't here.
And I say our first Tuesday night, but it was really your first Tuesday night because I was celebrating my 30th wedding anniversary.
Yes.
And it was amazing.
Yes, we all found out that it was your 30th wedding anniversary the week previous.
We all did.
No,
I knew my anniversary was coming up. I just forgot that it was going to be on Tuesday.
No, it's all good. You're all good. How was dinner?
It was excellent. We went to Blue Plate, sat in a gondola.
Yeah, I mean, I told you this. The funny part was my wife and I have never, ever been to that restaurant. We lived out here for like 6 years now.
Really?
So
we should go try it out.
Yeah.
It was good. It's good stuff. Shout out to Blue Plate. Who's with us tonight? We got Lisa Williams. Welcome, Lisa. Glad you could join us tonight.
Lisa Williams.
And we're going to start off with a little segment we always start off with called Getting to Know You.
Getting to know you.
And here's our little intro for
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you, getting to like you, getting to hope you like me.
All right. So we get to know each other, and we'd like to get to know you guys. We're watching there online on YouTube or on Facebook Live. You can just comment. We see your comments. We get to throw them up on the screen so that everybody can see your comments as well. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk first about your favorite position in baseball.
Wow. Well, a pitcher.
I mean, to play, not just like your
Pitcher.
the pitcher was your favorite position to play.
Yeah, easily. It's you have. I don't know. This could be a very telling part about Michael. It could be telling a lot about Michael right here. But you have the most control. You're always in every play. You're always in every play.
A little bit of a control freak, huh?
Maybe. You know, we could dissect that in later episodes. But you're active in every single play. I don't know. I like that aspect of it. I'm assuming that's yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Although I did enjoy hitting, but I didn't get to hit hardly at all. We had the DH.
You'd say full-time DH. That could be your favorite position.
Yeah, but I never got to hit that much, so maybe I don't really like it because I didn't get to do it that much.
Yeah, and if you're not good at hitting, you know, if you've had some bad days in a row, like we're talking about tonight, curveballs, it could be really, really quickly, it could become my least favorite position.
Yeah. It's more fun to make the hitter look bad than to be the hitter and look bad, right?
Ooh, there's some wisdom.
Here's another one. What's your phobia? Not just like, so what's something that like gets you every time? I think I know what it is. I think I found out what it was yesterday. I watched you curl up into a ball into the fetal position when I started talking about this.
Oh, I don't know if that's a phobia. You can go ahead and tell them what you were talking
Eyeballs.
about. Yes.
Things with eyeballs. You guys want to see Michael curl up in the fetal position?
No. You were specifically talking about bad stuff to do with eyes. As far as a real phobia, you know, I really don't like I've been caving a few times out here. I'm sure you'll do it as you I really didn't like it.
Oh, really?
Really didn't enjoy it. The tight spaces, the lack of if I only have one exit, that can get me. You know, it used to be snakes, but I've kind of overcome that a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure I could overcome the caving, but I just don't see a point behind doing it. I don't know. What about you? Do you have phobia?
Mine is spiders.
Really?
Hate them.
I was letting a spider crawl on my leg the other day.
No, No.
I took a picture of it actually.
Yeah, big spiders, like big furry spiders like tarantulas, no, I got no issues with them. But it's the little ones. And we went on, when I lived in Louisiana, they had these things called banana spiders. And they could be almost as big as your hand, but their body was small and they had those big spindly legs and stuff. And around September, October, they're everywhere. And we went on a hike one time, and it was in the morning, and we went down this boardwalk through these trees. And when we got to the end, we turned around, looked back, and there were banana spiders everywhere. And I freaked out and I ran. I left my family and I just ran all the way back. It was crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be a huge fan of a million spiders all over me or spider webs. They freak me out, but I wouldn't say it's a phobia.
All right. Did you have a baseball trivia question for us?
I do.
You guys got any phobias out there that you feel comfortable sharing? Maybe your phobia is commenting on live social media feeds.
You're calling people out.
I'm just saying it could be.
This could be our last show.
They could be afraid of doing that.
All right. Here's an easy one for you. This is like a hanging curveball. What team moved to DC? What team moved to DC to become the Washington Nationals in 2005? This should have been answered already.
I don't know. I know. I feel.
Paul.
Is it the Expos?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, very good. All right, here's another hanging curve for you. Who played the most consecutive games in baseball?
Played the most consecutive games? Cal Ripken.
There you go.
Junior.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. Here's a tough one. I don't even know the answer to it. What 1929 feat did Lee Richmond perform in Major League Baseball first? Would you like options?
No, I wanted to share that Becky Gray shared that getting stuck in any area of life, that is a phobia.
Ooh.
That wasn't her answer to the baseball trivia question.
Getting stuck in any area of life. You know, it's funny she says that because that could be what we're talking, a little bit of what we're talking about tonight.
Could be.
Could be.
We'll find out. Lisa said snakes, real, plastic, or any kind.
Wait, she said real. What is real?
Well, they could be real snakes or plastic snakes.
Oh, sorry. It's been a long day. Michael is
not on his game?
No, I'm not.
All right. One more question, baseball trivia question, then we'll go on our subject for tonight.
So I'll do it again. What 1929 feat did Lee Richmond, who I don't even know, perform in Major League Baseball first? Would you like some options?
Sure.
He hit a grand slam. He stole home. He had an unassisted triple play, or he pitched a perfect game.
I'm going unassisted triple play.
I'm going perfect game, and I was correct.
Funny how you can be right when you have the answers in front of you.
Exactly.
All right, tonight, what we're going to be talking about is hitting the curveball. And if you haven't watched our show before, what we do is we talk about Jesus and we talk about baseball. And what we do is we take baseball situations, baseball scenarios, things that apply to baseball, and then we apply those to our lives and to see what Scripture has to say about that. And so tonight is hitting the curveball. And so first we'll talk about the baseball aspect of that.
Yeah.
The curveball is an interesting pitch, right?
It is. Or, I mean, the title could be Trouble with the Curve.
Okay.
You know? Like the Justin Timberlake vehicle.
Well, we didn't want to get into trademark infringement, so we just went hitting the curveball.
The curveball is quite an interesting pitch. It's very elegant. Some are terrible. Some are extremely good. I heard a rumor from you, actually. The rumor was from you that was your pitch.
That was my pitch. That was my best pitch. Yeah. But so what is it that makes the curveball trouble? Why is there trouble with the curveball? Why is it hard to hit a curveball?
Well, in my experience,
a good curveball.
It has to be good. It has to be good. And that'll be part of what we talk about for sure. But in my experience, the reason people have trouble with the curveball, and the reason like you have that saying, well, life throws you a curveball, right? There's a reason that's around, and people who don't even watch baseball, never watch a game.
Yeah, they probably said that and they don't even realize why.
And the reality is a curveball is like incredibly unique. I guess the ethos pitch would be the next best thing, but that's a terrible pitch. It's slower. It curves. It usually comes up and down. Usually, there's some that come like in a diagonal
slurve.
Yeah, I mean you got all different types of curveballs. But for the most part, it comes up and down, and it's slower than just about every pitch. And it's spinning. A good one is spinning, usually a lot, and it requires a very, very good amount of concentration to hit it.
So the best curveball, in my opinion, is a 12-6 curveball that goes from 12 on the clock to 6 on the clock. That's spinning, that's tumbling straight end over end. And the reason I think that's the best curveball is because it mimics a fastball that's spinning backwards. And because you can't really tell which direction the ball is spinning, but it looks the same because it's spinning the same direction, not sideways like a slider or something like that. And so it mimics a fastball when it comes out of the hand. You see it spinning, and then the bottom drops out. Yeah. Whereas a fastball keeps its level plane. Some people think it rises. It really doesn't, but it keeps its level plane all the way through. The curveball dives, curves down. Yeah. And that's why I think the 12-6 is such a great curveball, because it's deceptive.
Is that the one you threw?
What's that?
You threw the 12-6?
Yeah, definitely. That you don't see it coming until it's too late, and a lot of times. So that's the trouble with the curveball, is that it's deceptive. You don't see it coming.
I have something to add to that. It's funny that it's good. It's cool that you threw the 12-6. So there's like we talked about, there's a few different curveballs, but the two major ones, I threw a sweeping curve. And so a sweeping curve doesn't necessarily come just straight down, comes a little bit like a diagonal, like I was talking about. And you throw that one if you throw a slider as well.
Right.
And I threw the slider, and that's why my elbow is terrible now. But it just slows down. It makes other pitches better, and in my opinion, and really
because it keeps the hitter off balance.
Keeps you off balance.
They can't be in a rhythm.
And I think that's where we're going to hit home tonight. Is
big time.
Is
we're setting this up really well.
Oh yeah, we're doing a good job so far. And I think that's where that saying comes from. Like, life throws you a curveball. You're not expecting it. Yep. You're not expecting it. And one thing that like I really want to talk about tonight is, like, in my opinion, a curveball is a trial. It really is. It's a test. It's a test of just who you are as a baseball player, as a hitter. We talk about, I've brought up a few times the Michael Jordan documentary. Everybody knows Michael Jordan quit basketball for 1.5 years to play baseball. And what a lot of people don't know, and what I was reminded of, is that he started out, and I don't know if you knew this, Paul, he started out his minor league career with a 13-game hitting streak.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah. He started out his major league baseball career, well, it's minor league, but baseball career with a 13-game hitting streak. And I will never forget Terry Francona, who's a very, very popular manager now, brought the Red Sox out of that slump, which I don't really like. But he was his minor league manager at the time. And they were showing him in the documentary, and he was like, yeah, he started off great. It was only a matter of time before they threw him a curveball.
Oh, wow.
And that's generally what happens, is you'll have these players that get called up, and pitchers will see how well they can hit a fastball. And most people in life can hit a straight fastball.
Can time it.
You may be caught off guard by how fast it is, but then all of a sudden you've got 0-2 count, you've got 2 strikes on you. You're expecting a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. And then this 70-mile-an-hour spinning hurricane of emotions comes tumbling out of the pitcher's hand, and you have a decision to make as a baseball player in that moment. What do I do? And a lot of times, if you don't know what to do, you're going to look foolish.
Yes, and that's what. Okay, so the issue, and when I coached high school baseball, the issue for high school players, like they might have seen a bad curveball before high school, but in high school is when they started seeing good curveballs, and always the issue was they would get their weight out front. They would lean. They'd be expecting a fastball, and their timing is going for a fastball. They get their weight out front, and then they don't get a good swing. If they do get a swing, but they don't get a good swing on it. And so we are always telling them, keep your weight back, keep your weight back. Don't react, but wait back and see the pitch. And that's what I think it's such a great application to life, that things happen in life, where, like you said, life throws you a curveball, and what happens is we get our weight out front, and we react. We react quickly to what we think we're seeing, but maybe that's not really what it is. Mm-mm. You said that you liken curveballs to trials. Well, I would say that they're not always trials, but we always perceive them as trials. It actually might end up being something that's good, but it's unexpected. And we don't like unexpected things.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, just anything that's unexpected, we identify it as a trial, but it actually might be something good that God's trying to do in our life that we just didn't see coming. And I think cancer for me was that. Was something that came out of left field. I don't know. We'll have to talk about that in another program.
That's our next baseball saying.
But it was unexpected, but it was totally a blessing. Just like it was a blessing in so many different ways. But that's what you think we can get into transitioning here. So in our world today, we've got some curveballs coming our way.
2020 has been a Clayton Kershaw curveball. If you haven't seen a Clayton Kershaw curveball, it's his bread and butter. I mean, it's like the rest of his pitches, I would say, are good on a rating. His curveball is maybe the best ever. I don't know. And it feels like a little bit like 2020 has been that. It's been something unexpected. And I love that you said that. It's really, it doesn't have to necessarily be a trial, like I said, but your reaction to the curveball. Because, man, we talked about this before we came on. A curveball can be absolutely devastating, depending on your reaction to it. But, and I love that you brought up, that personal trial that you went through and how you look at it now, because you didn't have to look at cancer like that as a positive, something God was going to use. But the reality is, sometimes curveballs can be the furthest home runs you ever see. Right. I mean, if you wait back, if you're patient, if you keep your eye on the ball, man, you can hit those suckers a mile. Yeah. I mean, I'll never forget actually Clayton Kershaw's curveball a few years ago. He hung one to Giancarlo Stanton, and he hit it out of Dodger Stadium. I don't know if you remember that. He hit it
over the pavilion,
out of the park. Literally, I'm not even kidding. You can go look it up. He hit it out of the park. And the reality is he saw the ball and he hit it. And I think that is such an important part of this, like, life throws you curveballs. Life throws you curveballs, but you determine what happens when they're thrown to you. Yeah,
because sometimes a curveball, it starts off looking like a ball, like a pitch that's up high, but when it breaks, it comes right down into the sweet spot, like you were talking about Juan Carlos, and then you can just crush it. Sometimes other curveballs, they start off looking like a strike, but then they break out of the zone into the dirt, and they're unhittable. And that's what, keeping your weight back, to me, just like when we discussed this topic about talking about it, I feel like that's for us as people, as Christians, that it's so important that we keep our weight back. When the pitch is coming, when that curveball's coming, to see what it's going to do and not react. And I feel like a lot of times we get ourselves in trouble and we make big mistakes when we react and we don't really know what that pitch is going to do. And that's what, like in 2020, we got coronavirus, we have the unrest, the racism discussion that's going on heavy, even, especially today here on this Tuesday. And I think there's a lot of times there's emotional reaction to these things. And I think a lot of times what we got to step back and just wait on the Lord and say, God, how do you want me to react to this? Is this a pitch you want me to hit? Is this something you want me to just sit back on and stuff? And I feel like that's a really important thing for us these days, because our emotions say, oh, swing. And God may be saying, no, don't swing right now. Thoughts on that?
I think that's spot on. It's, 2020 has been filled with some crazy stuff. There's no doubt about it. There's no debating that. And part of it is just our focus on these things. And I think we talked about this earlier today. We've had all this worldly stuff come into our lives, and it's given us the opportunity to either choose to keep our eyes fixed on the Lord, or keep our eyes fixed on these things that are all around us. And the reality is, I read something today just about the fact that God is still on his throne. Even through this, he is still on his throne. He is still in control. And it's like we talked about, you gotta keep your eye on the ball. The minute you take your eye off, and we can relate it to the minute we take our eye off Jesus, we're going to swing and miss.
And Peter, walking on the water, he's looking at Jesus, he's walking on water. Like, what was that like? Takes his eyes off of Jesus at the wind and the waves. And man, there's winds and waves going like crazy right now. I saw that there's a hurricane starting in the Gulf.
I was going to bring that up. There's
my Louisiana friends watching.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And part of it is what we see and what we take in. And, honestly, Paul, we're doing this show on Facebook Live, and part of these curveballs that get thrown our way right now have to do with the fact that we see everything that happens in real time.
Yeah.
And we experienced that firsthand with this COVID-19. And I'll just be honest with each of you, like COVID-19 was, there was a part of that instilled fear at one point or another in most of us. And we, some people I saw, what is God doing through this? But you and I, and I've had this conversation very recently with a lot of people. You and I got a firsthand look at just what God was doing through that. And there were people who started watching church online that would never have stepped foot in a church.
Yeah.
And it was so, we started seeing that when we get those numbers after Sundays, church online, and we started seeing that. We started seeing these lives coming to know Jesus for the first time ever. Mm-hmm. But the reality is this global pandemic is, contrary to what we're seeing on the news right now, it's still going on. We're still going through it. And, but God has been using it. He has been using it. And if we don't keep our eyes fixed on him, we're never going to see it.
Yeah. And even with the racism and the protests and things like that are going on, you're also seeing people rising up and these huge groups of people praising the Lord and praying and it just, I think that whenever the enemy is trying to do something destructive, it just seems like Satan would have given up by now, but he has so much pride that he's never going to give up. But he's always thinking that he's going to get one over on God, but God's always he's always crushing that curveball. Satan really thinks he's throwing God a curveball like, oh, you didn't see this one coming, but God's always ready to turn it into something good and something beneficial. And so I feel like that's where, I guess for me personally, I feel like I need to keep my weight back and see what is God doing here rather than just reacting emotionally to things. We went through a number of disasters, natural disasters when we were in Louisiana. And you saw it time and again, every natural disaster, there were a group of people who were on it right away. They were there, they were ready to help and stuff. But I mean, you're talking like weeks to maybe months, and everybody's gone. Oh, the disaster's not gone. The disaster is still there, but the emotions have died down, and so the people aren't serving and helping and stuff and coming to the rescue and everything. They've moved on to something else emotional, and that's what I think, like the things that we're dealing with, why it's important for us to not just react emotionally, but to sit back and seek the Lord on it. I think, from scripture, Moses, he was in a situation where they were divvying up land, and there was these daughters of Zelophehad, and their dad had died, and they didn't have any brothers, and they came to Moses, and they're like, "What? We don't get any land, because there's no men in our family." And Moses, I love what he did there. Such a great leader. He didn't just say, "Yeah, that's the way it is," or he didn't just say, "Oh, you know what? You're right. Let's give you some money." But it says he took it to the Lord, and he went and asked the Lord, "What should I do here?" And the Lord told him, "You should give them land." And so he went back to them. He said, "You're right. You should have some land." And I feel like in these situations, like what we're dealing with right now, these hot button topics and everything, we should take it to the Lord. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good idea to take these things to the Lord and say, "Lord, what do you want me to do? What would you have me do with that?" And so that's what, we're talking about, the big things like COVID and all the racism and stuff like that. But it also applies to our life individually, right?
Yeah. And just as like that encouragement, I've heard this many times before, but just knowing it is just a great reminder of how in control God is of every situation. But God is omnipotent. He's all powerful. He's omnipresent. He's everywhere. There isn't a place on this planet that you can hide from him. And there's nothing that can be hidden from him. And God is omniscient. Yes. Which means he's all knowing. And I love that last one. He's all knowing. He knows. He has each of our futures securely locked in. Securely locked in.
I love that word, secure. Yeah.
And when you hear that, like your life, my life, your life, everyone's life is securely locked in. But our focus needs to be on Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think, man, I don't know about you, but right now, like, I just need to be reminded that, and we've been going through this in high school youth, that 1 John chapter 3, it says, "See how very much the Father loves us, for he calls us his children." And that is what we are. And I love that there's an exclamation point at the end of that sentence. I love that there's an exclamation point at the end of that sentence, because it's a statement that we all need to walk away with right now. Because honestly, I don't know about you, but there's fear involved right now.
Oh, yeah.
We're making decisions out of fear. We're making decisions just like you were just saying, out of emotion. We're making these decisions based off what is in front of us right now.
Yeah.
But just like hitting that curveball, like you talked about, sitting back, sometimes we need to take a deep breath. We need to focus on the Lord, refocus on the Lord. Make sure we know in our heart of hearts, man, I don't know what is going on in the world right now, but I know who does. I know the one who knows what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with this hurricane? I saw that yesterday. What's going to happen? Where's it going to go? And what an amazing thought that is during this time, that he knows where the hurricanes of life are going to go. Yeah. He knows where the actual physical hurricanes are going to go. He knows where our trials are going to go. He knows when the curveballs in life for us are going to hit, and he knows how to hit them. He knows how to hit them.
Yeah, and we were were having a long discussion about this earlier today, just talking about what we wanted to talk about tonight. And, it's crazy because I think people don't like it because it's so simple and they feel like it has to be more complex. But the answer to every problem is Jesus.
Yeah.
I like sometimes I feel like, I want to give a deeper answer than that, so I sound maybe more profound or whatever, but that's it. It's like what John the Baptist said, he must increase and I must decrease. Like that's the answer to so many situations that we struggle with and we deal with, and keeping our eyes, like you said, firmly fixed upon him. And then we know if that's a ball that's going to break into the strike zone, or if that's a strike that's going to break out.
And I just want to encourage everyone during this time. And, Jesus did give us answers to this stuff, to especially, what's going on in the past week. And it was terrible what happened a week ago to George Floyd. There's no excuse for it. Yeah. It's a people problem. It is something. It is sin entering the world. There's no doubt about that. There's no arguing that it is awful. It is. And Jesus does give us the answer. And we talked about this today. And for you and I, Paul, we've heard this answer I don't know how many times. I mean, you being a senior pastor, you probably taught on this answer a million times. And it's something that I need to be constantly reminded of. And it talks about it in Matthew 22. I'm sure maybe you have this memorized, these verses memorized, but
don't put me on the spot like that.
But verse 36, they asked Jesus, "Teacher, which is the most important commandment in the law of Moses?" And verse 37, Jesus replied, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment." In verse 39, he says, "A second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. The entire law and all the demands of the prophets are based off these two commandments." Mm-hmm. Man, I'll tell you guys, you're looking for answers right now. You're looking for what can we do? What can I tangibly do right now? Man, if we do those two things every day, if we wake up and we remind ourselves, man, I'm going to love the Lord today. I'm going to see what he has for me today. And you know what? I don't care what's on my Facebook, what's on my Instagram. I don't care what the guy is sitting in Starbucks. I guess we're not doing that right now, but I don't care what the people I'm overhearing are talking about masks and hating wearing the mask and everything. I don't care what their political opinion is. I'm going to love the snot out of them. Mm-hmm. Because I know that that's what Jesus did for me. He gave everything for me. Not so that I can pick and choose who I choose to love. Not so that I can create this list of people that I want to talk to today, so that everyone he puts in my path, I can love to the best of my ability, to the way that just maybe even a little bit of the love that we all felt when we first realized what Jesus did for all of us.
Yeah. That word love is in both of those commands, and so you're not going to go wrong if that's where your focus is on loving people. And hey, I don't know about you. I shared with you earlier today, but whoever's watching this, I'm struggling right now with how does that actually play out? Because how do you love people well in this time? And that's something that, like I said, I feel like you wait on the Lord and he'll show you that, it's like, this is how you can best love people in this time. But I love that needs to be our focus, is loving the Lord first and loving everybody else after that.
Yeah. And, it was funny, it's funny how the Lord orchestrates things. We talk about, this show even being a curveball for you and I. Like we didn't know what we were going to talk about really, and how it was going to go. And I had an amazing phone call one of my mentors this afternoon, and he knows who he is. And just talking about how do we that question, how do we love people well?
Yeah.
And I'm forgetting off the top of my head, Paul, you can help me with this, but be quick to listen, be slow to speak. And if you're looking for a tangible way to love others right now,
Yep.
Let's just try listening for a second. And it doesn't mean that you have to agree with what they're saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you have to agree at all. But sometimes the best way that you can love your neighbor is just listen. Just be there. And give them if you don't agree, here's what I always love to do. And you can tell if I don't agree with something you're saying, here's my reaction. So this is, I'll tell you all right now, it's a dead giveaway. I can't believe that I'm going to say this, but if I have just listened to you talk for like 10 minutes or something like that, and my reaction is to be like, man, that's awesome. And then I give you a hug and say that I need something to do. That's that's my way of saying, man, I don't necessarily agree with what with what everything that you said. But you know what? I'm not going to stand here and argue with you because I love you, because there's no point in arguing with you, because Jesus is on the throne.
I had a person one time who was ripping me to shreds about what a horrible pastor I was, and I was preparing my argument, my rebuttal as they were talking, and it was like God, put his finger on my lips, and he's like, "Don't talk, just listen." And I just listened. And I was like, I want this person to know that I love them, and so when they finished, I was just like, I'm sorry that I haven't been a good pastor to you, and I just want you to know that I love you and I care about you, and everything just kind of dissipated in that, and well, we're over our time.
This is good though.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
And I love you.
I love you.
And I love you guys. We love you guys. And here's first, before we go, we as a church, we want to be here for everyone, and if you're struggling in this season, whether it's the pandemic, whether it's what's going on in our world right now, what's going on in the past week, whatever's next, there's always going to be a next.
Yeah, really.
If this hurricane hits, if it somehow lands in Colorado, I don't know. We'll see. But, we want to be here for you. We want to be here. And honestly, we're here for each other, and we just want to share that love of Jesus with everyone that we can. And during this season, man, that is the answer. Love, love, love.
It's correct. All right. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next week. We'll be back with another topic. What did we say earlier? Out of left field. Something coming out of left field.
I'll have to research that one. I don't even know where that one came from.
All right. God bless you guys. Thanks for joining us tonight.